welcome to another episode of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, going over week 2 of the NFL season. With us, as always, is Brian Bruner and Zach Rom, Mr. Oviedo here. The witching hour of Red Zone this weekend was the most frantic 30 minutes of football I've ever seen. Brian, I hope you weren't working. It was incredible football start to finish. The NFL is just the most incredible soap opera, the most incredible theater there is. I was blown away. It was hard to top Bills Ravens and then this weekend.
Sadly, I was at work. I worked both the first 2 weeks of Sunday, the NFL season, which is depressing. I'm sure that witching hour was hectic, though, because the NFL seems to have a fucking issue with simple division because they put 9 games in the early window, so you can't pay attention to anything. And then they put 3 games, 2 of them boring, in the late window. So I think they should get a little bit better with that, it feels like. But, I heard multiple people comment that the witching hour was batshit crazy this week.
And there's a witching hour, but I'm here stuck watching the end of the Bears game because they can't switch it. So I'm seeing the Bears get blown out and nothing happening, but I can't watch it anything else. They're not switching. They're not, I got to see a little bit of the end of a couple other games, but like I was there for a good half hour just slogging through. I'm like, I don't really care about this right now. Like the Bears are dead in the water. Give me something else. But it was a pretty good week of football for sure.
Yeah, the Super Bowl rematch was a crappy 4:05 Sunday. Like they just swept that under the rug almost.
Yeah, a little bit. Did you guys catch the clip at the end of the game when they were lining up for the kneel down and Chris Jones was talking shit to Jalen?
Oh yeah.
You don't even have 100 yards. Jalen said, "Shut your ass up. We won the fucking game." Jalen's just a winner, man. Say what you want. Yeah. Hate the Birds, love him. That dude's he's all business, man.
He looked at the Super Bowl ring and went, that's nice.
Right.
Put it right back in the case.
Yeah, you literally, what are you doing? You're talking shit as the team's doing the kneel down to win the game. Be better.
And he finished with 101 passing yards, so
not
even factual.
Yeah, right. Yeah, come with some facts on your shit talk.
Yeah. It's not like you're playing a game or something that would distract from it. I don't know.
But 2-0 is 2-0. It's been ugly. The Eagles' passing game is the talk of Philly sports talk radio currently. But, yeah. If they don't have to throw the ball to win, then fuck it. Let's play some 1935 football and just grind it down.
Yeah,
I have A.J. Brown outside my top 25 this week, and it just feels wrong, and it feels like I'm going to get trolled and called out. Oh, Mr. Oviedo, A.J. Brown had he finished wide receiver 19 on the week. Well, do you want me to say he's going to be 8th? It just, it feels wrong to be Army and Navy football, and they'll have 3 completions a game.
Yeah, it feels wrong to have him there, but he's almost earning that, and it's something. I read and I looked up. Hurts doesn't have a passing touchdown this season so far.
Nope.
And that it baffles me. They won both games, not necessarily handily, but they won both games without a passing touchdown.
Yeah,
that's crazy to think.
It's a weird start to the year for Philly. But if you're being honest with yourself, you got to look through your teams that have, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and look at your bench, and there's probably somebody on your bench that's a better start right now. I don't have a ton of A.J. Brown. I've got a lot of Slim, but just my early lineup settings, which I pretty much start as soon as Tuesday rolls around, I put them on multiple benches because I've got just a better option.
Yeah.
Sorry to call your shirt out like that, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is Reggie White, Jerome Brown on the NFL Jam shirt.
I like it.
Went old school.
Awesome. We'll move into some, I want to say breaking news, but really it just is an injury report for this week. That's
Broken player
mostly
news.
news, and we have some terrible injuries to really talk about. We have three. I don't want to say necessarily say key pieces, but three relevant pieces going to the IR, and 3 QBs questionable out for a week or two here or there. Joe Burrow, toe injury to the IR. Aaron Jones, hamstring. Eckler, Achilles. Jane Daniels is questionable with a knee injury. J.J. McCarthy's out for 2 to 4 weeks, not IR, but he has this ankle. Justin Fields concussion. Seems like a lot of these players you're riding your team on or hoping for.
I heard them say high ankle sprain for McCarthy, so that's never a good one. I feel like more so with like running backs and receivers, when they have that, they're always out 3 to 5, and then they're just not the fucking same when they come back. Granted, quarterback's a little bit different. I don't think it's going to affect him as much as it would, a Saquon Barkley or an Alvin Kamara. But needless to say, it's not great. But see what Carson Wentz can do.
Yeah, I mean, for McCarthy, he's taken 6 sacks, or is it 6 sacks a game? One of the two. I think it's 6 sacks a game he's taken. So having that mobility, I think, is going to be very crucial for him. Yep. High ankle injury for a quarterback that can't trust their O-line just spells disaster for me.
For all the nice things we said about his second half in week 1, boy, did he look lost in that game. Man, yes. It's just ugly.
Yeah.
But it's the second game. I'm not throwing the talent on him, but that wasn't a fun watch.
Man, the Falcons defense looked incredible. I think it was part McCarthy sucks, and the Vikings O-line was like the Falcons looked like the '85 Bears. They were like interception crazy, sack. It was almost like let's see who this JJ McCarthy really is. It's Kirk Cousins in prime time. Like, oh.
I think both the rookie rushers that they drafted in the first round had impact in that game. I think they both had a sack, some hurries. So, yeah, maybe the Falcons defense is legit. I mean, I know Jesse Bates is arguably the best safety in football. So, they have some talent there.
Yeah. And then any of the IRs, Aaron Jones, that's a buff to Jordan Mason, some Austin Eckler. Hopefully, Corey Krosky-Merritt gets some. But Joe Burrow, I have a couple of Joe Burrow pieces. He always starts slow, which you're already frustrated with, and all of a sudden he's out for another 4 to 6 weeks, 3 months actually. We're talking potential surgery. Anyone who took Joe Burrow in any redraft or anyone relying him like me as my QB1, I'm out here scrambling a little. Hopefully, maybe Browning will do well, but it's not looking good.
Lots of Burrow for me. My family league team that I got fucking dead last in last year, praying for redemption this year. I drafted Joe Burrow as my quarterback and George Kittle as my tight end. So that's going great. So I am at least 1-1. I pulled off the win this week. I've got a good team. I've got claims in to pick up Daniel Jones and Goff. They're both available. It's a 10-team league. So,
wow. Oh yeah. Okay.
And I do have Amon-Ra, so if I get Goff, it would be the stack. And I mean, Jones has been, for fantasy, he's like a top 5 fantasy quarterback so far. So we shall see. I'm not really doomed. It's 10 teams, so it's a loaded team. It's got Amon-Ra, it's got Henry. So hopefully, losing Burrow's not a total death blow for me. But yeah, not ideal. And it's in dynasty leagues, super flex leagues. You're not finding guys on the waiver. I mean, I went through last night before I went to bed, just searched Jake Browning availability in all leagues. I think he was available of like my 60 or so dynasty leagues. I think Browning was on waivers in maybe 15 to 20 of them. So I put pretty massive claims in for him because you're basically getting the starting quarterback for the Bengals for the remainder of the fantasy season. So in 2 QB super flex leagues, he's probably worth your entire fab load, especially if you had Burrow or desperately need a quarterback.
Yeah, he's available in most of mine. I noticed that Monday when all of a sudden I see waivers ran Monday morning. I'm like, what's going on? And one of my leagues, no one noticed waivers opened up Monday and a guy picked up Browning right then. And we're like, the whole league exploded and commissioners like cut him and reset it. And we're like, good. But it's, yeah, he's been quite serviceable as a backup, almost like a QB2 start. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at that with all those weapons. I'm almost thinking he's a good, reliable option to come in as a QB2 right now. Not the QB1 you're hoping Burrow to be, but you almost want to start Browning next week unless you have a really good option. Where if you have Burrow as your QB1, you probably don't have a better option than Browning.
I am all in on some fab in the leagues I need Browning. In 2023, Browning was QB 10 or better 5 of the last 6 weeks. I mean, it's a hell of an offense to be in, and the defense looked pretty putrid still. Trey Hendrickson is just cashing checks. Browning could be a league winner, and I hope I get him as many places as I can.
Yeah, Browning has the Jameis fucking and chuck it in him. I mean, he came in and threw 3 picks. Right, just playing 3/4 of that game. That the season you're referring to when he had multiple starts, his pace, if he would have done that on a 17 game season, he was on pace for, I heard it earlier today in a pod, 4,500 yards and 27 touchdowns.
Wow.
And like almost as many picks. So I mean, again, just like the Jameis gold of that year in Tampa. I mean, the Bengals have the offense to light it up. They don't have a defense. I mean, it could be just fantasy gold there all year. So, yeah, man, if you can get your hands on Browning, especially in 2 quarterback, he's an absolute must-add. And I think he's probably even, if you have the bench space to do it, worth an add in regular single quarterback redraft, just in case you suffer an injury or in case he just turns into, 2021 Jameis or whatever year that was.
Yeah. Or as we talked about a month or two ago, Mac Jones last year. He could just chuck it, not care, just chuck it, and did really well. I mean, Mac Jones did well this last week, but just not care, just chuck it up, and doesn't matter. And when you're just chucking it up to Higgins and Jamar Chase, that's gold.
Yeah. And then I guess with Wentz is another obvious pickup for 2 quarterback leagues, dynasty leagues that are super flex.
Yeah.
A similar scenario. I mean, we've seen fantasy goodness out of Wentz. He's also got a fantastic weapon set to throw to. This will only have the next game without Addison. Addison will be back starting week 4. So yeah, I mean, Wentz is a viable option for 2 QB as well, and we'll see what happens there. The iffy ones, the questionables, too early in the week to really have any definitive word on J-Day or Fields. Fields is a concussion. Those are, the NFL takes them pretty serious anymore. So decent shot Fields misses, and J-Day to be determined. Mariota would be a spot start if necessary. He's got the legs. He gives you the floor. Mariota's put up some decent fantasy games in the time he's been with Washington.
Yeah. And first comment, going after Browning over Wentz. I think that's a pretty solid thing. Go for Browning. I'm actually going to make a solid case for Wentz soon. I'm not going to talk about him here in a little bit. I'm going to talk about him, and I think he's going to be a strong fantasy option. But just with the weapons available, I think you got to go Browning over Wentz for sure right now.
For sure, and it's also a much longer term. You're securing, Cincinnati's quarterback for basically the remainder of the season. So Wentz, barring something weird happening, Wentz is only going to be a 2 to 4 week type rental.
Yep, that too.
Man, the NFL had Bengals, Vikings, they had Burrow, they had Jefferson, they had Chase, they had T. Higgins, and now it's Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz, and Aaron Jones is hurt and Jordan Addison suspended. They must be like, come on, man, what the hell is going on out there?
Well, what I saw someone comment earlier is that because they're both backup quarterbacks, whoever does better, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, is just the wide receiver 1, and that this is going to prove it. Like, it was going to be a big game, and now it's. I mean, I think it's actually going to be higher scoring than many people think. And if I was a betting man, I'd probably bet the over on the point total and such. But it's going to be a very interesting game.
It's interesting. I think that the over is interesting as hell because Vegas is probably going to lower the over, given that both starting quarterbacks are out, and we're not talking about guys that don't know what they're doing. Browning and Wentz, especially Wentz, they have plenty of NFL starts and experience. With Browning has plenty of chemistry with the guys there already. So maybe I'll throw a few shekels on the over this week.
Right now, CBS has it at 42.
Oh shit! Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, we got some spotlight players. Most of us, we're going to talk about some problematic things we're bringing up, some players we're questioning, and I was going to mention this in general for like me when I'm looking at players this 2 weeks in. If a player is doing really well, that's okay, but I'm not raising their value a ton. Whereas if a player really hasn't shown up in the first 2 weeks of the season, I'm not writing them off, but I'm questioning them. And the way I was like, how do I explain this? And being a former teacher, I thought of, well, two weeks is 15% of the season. I give you a 20 question test and you fail the first 3 questions, you can't get an A. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't get an A anymore. Whereas if you ace the first 3 questions, sure, you can get an A, but you can also still fail. That for me, these first 2 weeks, you could be amazing, like Xavier Worthy was last year, and then kind of taper off some. But for me, if you're not looking great in the first 2 weeks, that's when I start to worry a little. And next week 3, 4, we'll dive more into like these guys start alarm bells. But really, I think 4 of our 5 spotlights today are what's really happening with these guys. And we'll start with one of the more entertaining games of the week. George Pickens.
Yeah, I wanted to point out Pickens. Again, I was at work, didn't get to watch all of the game, but I just kept, every time I checked the ESPN stat box, the score just kept going up, and I'm thinking, man, this is got to be some fantasy gold here, and it was. There was a lot of guys that had big games, and I think I pointed out before the season even started, I've never been a big Pickens guy. Just, the off the field stuff, he's never really been a volume guy, which, I much prefer volume guys to low volume, big boom play guys. And so when I look at the stat line, this game went to the very end of overtime. This was a full blown shootout. Nobody was stopping anybody. Just score after score after score after score. Dak threw the ball 52 times. Completed 38 of them. Pickens caught 5 of them. Now everybody that has Pickens is happy. Everybody that is a Pickens truther is like, there it is, man. We got it. He got a touchdown. He had whatever it was, 16, 17 points on the week. He was 5 catches, 68 yards, and he did get the touchdown. That's no monstrous game. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson on the other side of the ball blew him away in targets.
Amazing
catches, yards, and it had a touchdown as well. So I just really wanted to point this out because I don't think this is going to be the game script for Dallas every week. I don't think they're going to be in a 40-37 all the way to the end of overtime shootout every week. Now, maybe they will. Maybe their defense is that trash that every game's going to be like that. In which case, probably well worth where you drafted them. But if they get into some more competitive games, their defense gets a little bit better. I think we're going to see a lot more week 1 type games with Pickens where he has 2 or 3 catches for 30, 40 yards, and you're disappointed, and by week 5, 6 you're questioning even putting him in your 3rd wide receiver or flex spot. So I think it's a good sell high opportunity for Pickens if you want to sell him to one of those guys that was real big truther on him, whether it be in your redraft league, your dynasty leagues. I think this might be a good out on him because, I mean, if this is what we got with 50 plus pass attempts and 40 points scored, it ain't great to me, on the eye test. So I just wanted to point that out because most people casually looking at the box scores go, oh, sweet, that's why I drafted George Pickens high. He got 17 points or whatever it ended up being.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, he had 9 targets, 5 catches. That's not what you like to see either in this big scoring game. Like Wan'Dale, he crushed Pickens. I mean, Wan'Dale crushed Lamb too, but you're hoping for so much more. And it seems as if Javonte Williams is doing much better than anyone would have expected. That's taken away from this passing volume that the Cowboys receivers are going to get. That you would have expected so much more from these Cowboys receivers. And you look at, well, Javonte Williams just crushed it. That's no one expected that. So I think that's a great thing pointing out Pickens here of, now might be a sell high, especially if you know someone who's been really wanting Pickens. Like, now's the time. See what you can get out of him. Yeah.
Javonte, the number 4 running back in fantasy after 2 weeks, Williams. I had to check that earlier myself. So I drafted him on my 0 RB build for my most important league, and 'tis working out after 2 weeks so far. But yeah, man, you can get something good for Pickens. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd be talking so highly about the Cowboys, but even Miles Sanders doesn't look dead. He is like brushed some dirt off of him. He has a pulse. He might not make it much longer, but
coming out of the grave.
Yes.
Just in time for Halloween. I considered putting Miles Sanders in the waiver article I wrote today, just because it seems as of now, unless something changes, he's got to be the clear cuff. He's like the only other running back getting touches, behind Williams. He got into the end zone once there. Pretty sure if Williams missed a game, everybody in the country would be ranking Sanders as like a lower end RB2 on the week. So worth an ad if you've got the space for him, or if you're rostering Javonte.
Awesome. Sounds good. We'll go to our next spotlight. Player in prime time that is questioning picking him already. We got a rookie, Ashton Jeanty.
Yikes. Yeah, primetime lights like the refrigerator light. Like, I was sitting there watching that game last night, and there's been some whispers of like, oh, Jeanty, he's off to a sluggish start. He had a crappy first carry in the preseason. Oh, is that your king? Is that your first overall pick? I'm like, shut up, relax. And I watched that game last night, and man, I'm not hitting the panic button. My hand's like maybe 2 or 3 feet above the panic button. If I had a little bit more time to process all of this, I might have put the entire rookie class in under a blanket of spotlight, because this week, the top 5 running backs that were drafted, rookie running backs taken in most leagues, Ashton Jeanty, Marion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Judkins, and Caleb Johnson combined for 139 yards. Combined, 5 of them. That is 27.8 yards. Kyle Manenge got 28 yards this week. And I have like stats until people stop tuning in. Jeanty does not look good. Not only does he not look good, he looked like there were a lot of times where he should have blocked, and he was like a turnstile or that's not my job. And I'm like, are you going to block that? Are you going to let Geno get hit? There was a play where Jeanty kind of missed the block, and the defensive end kept going toward Geno, and Geno and the defensive end almost came back to Jeanty, and Jeanty's like staying out of the way, like, oh, I'm gonna let them take care of that. There were blocks that he kind of missed. There were plays where Jeanty could have shown a little more hustle. I don't know if he's picked up the playbook very well. I mean, what do I know? But I think when we get this rookie fever and we think, oh, he's an incredible talent, of course he's going to pick up the playbook. I don't know if these guys are picking up the playbook. I think we think elite talent, playbook go hand in hand. I don't know. Jeanty and Hampton don't look very good right now. So I'm ranking Najee Harris ahead of Hampton this week, and I'm about to. Yeah, I don't know about Jeanty. I'm not that impressed through 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's 2 games. I'll admit I didn't watch more than a quarter of the Raiders Chargers game. I was exhausted. I had sick kids this weekend, still have them, and so I didn't tune in too much. But the little I did watch, he didn't look great. The one thing with Genty and even Omarion Hampton, some for me is they've had tough games. You wouldn't think at Patriots is tough, but the Patriots have a better defense than people would think, especially coming out week 1. Then when you're looking at Chargers Raiders primetime game, it's a divisional matchup. When you're looking at the Chargers, they played Chargers again, they played the Raiders primetime, and then they played international versus the Chiefs. So they don't look great, but it's really hard to definitively say something. I mean, even Bijan and Gibbs started really slow their rookie year, so it's something to keep an eye out on. Though, is they don't look amazing.
Just a little bit I want to point out on Genty. The Chargers defense looks fucking legit. The Chargers defense is all over the field, man. Like they look at Dylon Henley kid, their new middle linebacker. He looks fucking incredible. We had the flu, and he had a big game. I mean, Derwin James is always, if he's healthy, he's a terror on the field. So they've looked very good. So I do agree that was a tougher matchup for him. What I didn't like about when I just pulled up the numbers while Patrick was talking there, the week 1 he had like 80+% of the snaps. Genty did, and he did get in the end zone, which saved his day, but it wasn't a good game statistically. Other than that, in this game, he was only on the field for 56% of snaps. When I'm watching it last night, I noticed almost any time, like in like the hurry up offenses and like the the 2-minute drills, they were bringing in Dylan Jiffy Laub, and he wasn't on the field a ton. I pointed out one of my hot takes that episode right before the season started was that Genty is probably going to be similar to Bijan's rookie year when it comes down to stat wise, which we looked into it. Bijan ended up being the RB17 that year per game, yet we all drafted him as a first round draft pick. Yeah. Well, through 2 games, I purposely pulled up a league without any weird juice scoring or points per carry or anything. Genty had 12 points week 1 and 7.4 points yesterday. So by my math, that's about 9-something points a game, and you spent a first round pick on him.
Not good.
But he could absolutely turn it around. You mentioned it, Bijan, Gibbs, these guys started slow. Johnny Taylor, I think, also started slow his rookie year and then exploded. So we could be talking about Genty as a league winner in 3 weeks. But worth pointing out, man. All these, we're going to talk about another spotlight here, but every one of these rookie running backs is struggling.
Yeah.
At least the ones that were drafted high.
Yeah. Before I go to my first spotlight, we have a question I want to bring up real quick. Comment. Person has Mark Andrews in two leagues. Who should you go after to replace Mark Andrews right now?
The easy answer is Juwan Johnson if he's available. He might be the tight end 1 or 2 on the season after 2 weeks. He's fairly available. If
Ferguson looked good this last week.
Ferguson looked awesome. I assume his roster percentage is pretty high, but maybe not. Ferguson's definitely worth a grab if he's there. Juwan Johnson definitely. If you're in like a little bit deeper of a league, or people are rostering multiple tight end type of thing, you can Harold Fannin might still be out there.
Yeah,
he outperformed Njoku again. Fannin's definitely one to look for. I think my boy Chig is still worth an ad. Pretty sure he's going to be a decent part of that offense. And Andrews is like borderline droppable at this point.
Yeah,
I think he's had 1 catch in each of the first 2 games. Like, they're not looking his way at all. And this is, by the way, Isaiah Likely's fucking hurt. He's not even on the field, and they're not throwing to Andrews. That's terrible.
I would have smashed starting Andrews the first 2 weeks if I heard Likely would be out, and I was an Andrews truther before the season, and so I think any of those guys are some good pickups.
Yeah. If you Tony, I believe, was the commenter. If you are watching, check your league waiver. Let us know who's on the wire at tight end. We'll tell you our favorite.
Yeah. So I'll go into mine. My spotlight is less a player. I want to bring up, this is kind of in the defense of JJ McCarthy. If you've been listening, I've been saying he's going to be busting and, sure, he got injured some, but I wanted to dive into this a little more. I want to give a shout out to Tier 1 quarterback. He's the one who really brought me into all this and such. And we were talking this week and we started talking about Kevin O'Connell, quarterback whisperer. Is he really that? And then he's like, what was the age of the quarterbacks that he really has turned into strong quarterbacks? And I'm like, that is a very interesting question. And so I looked up the stats for quarterbacks when he was the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach, the passing coach, head coach. And I broke it into, I didn't want to just do age because people enter the NFL at different ages. I did quarterbacks with 5 or less years experience with Kevin O'Connell and quarterbacks with 6 or more years experience with Kevin O'Connell, who started at least 5 games. I didn't want to do a one-off game here or there, 2 or 3, who started at least 5 games. And what you're looking at is on a yards per game metric, that's about 30, 40 more yards per game. You're looking at 0.7 more touchdowns per game. You're looking at a little less interceptions per game. In reality, when you're looking at that, you're like, that's not much. Well, you're looking at the difference between 11.5 versus 15.5 points per game. When you're talking fantasy purposes, those 4 points per game over the season matter a lot. And when you're looking at this, when you're looking at quarterbacks with 5 or less years of experience, JJ McCarthy out. He had Dwayne Haskins, Johnny Manziel, but the other one with his 5th year experience, Jared Goff. 5th year Jared Goff had, in year 3 or 4, Jared Goff had more attempts, completions, passing yards, and touchdowns than his 5th year with Kevin O'Connell. Yet you're looking at players like Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, even Case Keenum that looked good with Kevin O'Connell later on. And so I'm bringing this up kind of in the defense of JJ McCarthy, that I think it's almost a misclaimer that Kevin O'Connell is really the quarterback whisperer. In reality, I think he works great with these vet quarterbacks that know how to read defenses, that know what to do, and he can do great things with those. But he doesn't do nearly as well with these rookie quarterbacks, with these younger quarterbacks that he doesn't coach a quarterback up. But if they have those skill sets that other coaches, other teams can't really draw out of them, he seems to be able to do that well. And that's why when we talked about 20 minutes ago of Carson Wentz, he has that experience. He had a good season or two. I think Carson Wentz is going to surprise people with the Vikings, that when McCarthy comes off injury, it's going to be a question of if McCarthy's going to come back right away. Might pull a Bryce Young where he gets sat for the rest of the season and goes behind. But again, I just want to bring this up. He's a quarterback whisperer for older quarterbacks, not for younger quarterbacks, by what the stats are saying.
If him and McCarthy are there together in 2030, look the fuck out. Look out. That is a the numbers don't lie. That definitely checks out. These guys that have just an overall grasp on the NFL of fucking Nate Mullins, if you will. You've just seen defenses and started some games. I think Darnold's probably the shining example of that. Darnold obviously has the raw talents. The dude was the 3rd pick in the draft, very highly touted college prospect and all that, and just could never find his footing. And then, but started plenty of games, saw different looks, saw lots of defenses, wasn't, overwhelmed by starting in the NFL. And as soon as this guy got his hands on him, we were looking at the fantasy quarterback 7 last year, whatever Darnold ended up finishing in your scoring format. So, yeah, man, valid points, and the numbers don't lie.
Yeah. Looking real quick, I have the stats up. There isn't a single quarterback with 6 more years experience that didn't have a greater than 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio with Kevin O'Connell, whereas every single quarterback with 5 or less years experience had lower than 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Like even Josh McCown over 8 games was 12-4 touchdowns to interceptions. Alex Smith looked great. Case Keenum, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions over 8 games. Matthew Stafford had his record year. I think it's those experienced guys that he's going to do well with. And if you have the space in Superflex leagues, go out, put some fab on Carson Wentz. He's going to turn out, I think, to be a good bye week player, injury player, maybe even a quarterback too. Especially once Addison gets back week 4. I think that's Carson Wentz is going to be a little sneaky here.
If Wentz comes in and they look night and day better and they're putting up a bunch of points and Jefferson's having 100-yard games and they're winning games in 3-4 weeks when his high ankle sprain's okay, do they really just immediately pull the plug on what's happening and put McCarthy back in? I don't know. I mean, it would definitely depend on them actually winning, how good Wentz is looking. But I mean, if he's out there cooking and they've just won 3-4 straight games after the way that McCarthy looked on this last game, I don't know how they'd pull the plug on that and just put him back in there to be on the struggle bus. But we'll see. I mean, how they perform with Wentz will determine that for sure.
Yeah. If Wentz does well, I don't think they're going to put McCarthy back in. Just right. If anything schedule wise, after 4 weeks, they're at Lions versus the Ravens versus the Bears at the Packers. Like that's a brutal stretch.
Yeah.
That's I wouldn't put your rookie quarterback coming off injury back into that if Wentz is looking good. More on that developmental side of things. Even week 7, if they're versus the Eagles, like that's Eagles, Chargers, Lions. It's going to be a big question if Wentz comes back.
Given how like rattled McCarthy looked and just not good in that last game, like if he had won this last game and looked like the hero or whatever, that's a big difference. They'll be rushing to get him back in. But with how he looked, I could see them pumping the brakes on bringing him back in.
Yeah.
You might have seen this, but JJ McCarthy just had a son, and his I think his name is Rome, and he must be holding his baby. He loves his son so much, and he's just holding him all the time. You know what he's also holding a lot? The football, like way too long. Per pro.nfl.com, JJ McCarthy has the second most time in the NFL time to throw, 3.15 seconds. Throw the ball, dude. Like, I don't know if he's waiting for people to get open or what the routes are running. I have a lot of trash talk. I have a lot of receipts saying that JJ McCarthy is going to be very good. I hope he can. A lot of people are writing him off too after 2 games. It's too early. It's too early. I'm not really. I kind of like what I see, but it's a really good point on veteran quarterbacks, not rookie quarterbacks.
Thank you. Yeah, it's and if anything, as I mentioned, this is kind of in defense of JJ McCarthy, that this quarterback whisper that people are saying, well, he doesn't need much experience with him. He doesn't need to go out and play preseason. Let's pump the brakes on that a little. It's kind of in that defense of maybe he wasn't set up for success in the way people expected. And that's not necessarily his own fault.
I get some real problems, JJ McCarthy. 3.15 seconds. That's 0.6 of a second longer than last place Kyler Murray, who has 2.5 seconds to throw. Get some real problems, man. Throw the damn ball.
Yeah. They brought it up on the Footballers pod today. I think it was Mike was saying that he has like the longest, most painstaking throwing motion that he's ever seen before. He said every time he's like getting ready to throw, he like plants one foot, plants the other, turns his hips, cocks all the way back, and it's just painfully slow. Mechanics. So bad mechanics, yeah. And I mean, he didn't have to throw much at Michigan, and maybe that's why. But yeah, man. So holding the ball very long is a good way to get yourself fucking injured, and here we are.
Yeah. Okay, we got another question before next spotlight. We covered this briefly a little. How scared are we on Marion Hampton and AJ Brown? Just a quick recap because we talked about this a little. AJ Brown, we're pumping the brakes on a little. It seems like at this point you might need to bench him, that there's probably a person on your bench that you almost should start in front of him, especially Jalen Hurts having 0 passing touchdowns. Whereas Omarion Hampton, I think we brought it up, is the schedule is a little rough, that even Bijan and Gibbs started slow, that we're not out on Omarion Hampton. I'm probably still starting him this next week. But it's something where Hampton's questionable. AJ Brown, I might be sitting him in a couple leagues that I have him in. It really depends. So, yeah, it depends on who you have on your bench. But I'm sure we'll talk about them a little more when we talk about the games this week too.
The frustrating thing with Hampton is he's getting the majority of the work. Like, he's out there on the field a ton. He's just not really doing much of anything with the touches he's getting. So, these are two guys super highly drafted. They're very talented. These are not dudes you're even thinking about cutting, and I wouldn't even think about trading them honestly either, because right now people are just going to lowball you. You're not going to get offered anything remotely close to what their peak value is, or even like a 30% less than their peak value. So especially with Hampton, definitely hold on. Maybe he's a guy that you can bench. Maybe you lucked out and you picked Javonte as one of your bench running backs, and you can just flip flop them for a little while. But with AJ, man, it's until Philly shows us something different. If they keep winning, we were talking about the Chiefs offense, that Patrick Mahomes' numbers were suffering because they just figured out a way to win by running the ball and playing defense. If the Eagles are going to play like this and they keep winning, why the hell would they just start airing it out one week if this is a winning formula?
Yep.
So, yeah, man, until further notice, AJ might have to drop down to your flex or even your bench if you've got some better options.
Send Nick Sirianni a message and bench AJ Brown in your fantasy lineup this week. See what happens. Or maybe like bench him till 12:40, and then, just kidding, and then put him back in.
Yeah. So continuing kind of on these rookie running backs, Trevion Henderson, my Pats.
Yeah, I wanted to point him out because he just looks so fucking exciting in the preseason. The hype train for him was just full steam ahead, and he's really just done nothing. He did get 6 catches week 1, which he didn't like really kill you, because he ended up with 9-10 points probably in PPR leagues. But this past week, Ramondre came out and looked really good and was just substantially more involved in the offensive game plan. And the scariest part about that is that the Patriots look good. Like they got stuff done by giving Ramondre a lot of more touches and more snaps and more of the work. So that doesn't bode well for them going all of a sudden next week like, well, Ramondre looked great, but May had a great game utilizing Ramondre. Why the fuck are they going to just all of a sudden push Hampton into a bigger, more than 50% role? So what he did this past week was just 32% of the snaps. He got 3 carries for 10 yards. And he did have 2 receptions for 30, which, got you 5 points in a full PPR league, so he didn't hit you with a zero burger. But, Ramondre was 11 carries for 54. Ramondre had 5 catches for 88 yards. Ramondre was on the field for 65% of snaps, and Henderson was only out there for 32. And given what they did and how the Pats looked, I can't imagine it looks any different next week. So it's a little frightening. And just like we reiterate the same thing I said about Hampton, this is a guy that I would like to put him on my bench. You probably have somebody that you could flex over him, or even potentially pick up on waivers and start over him until we see something different. But you can say this about almost all the rookie running backs at this point. It's pretty scary, and given the way that this week went, I don't see next week looking much different.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm seeing a couple of comments about a couple other questions. When we bring the scoreboard up and start kind of going through the games, we'll make sure to catch it there. One comment about Henderson brought up was he had 3 early penalties, and maybe he got kind of moved away from because he was making those errors. But I think you got a good point. I think people expected Henderson to really have so much more volume, especially after the preseason kickoff return touchdown, like or punt return. I forget which, how explosive he looked. and it's the Ramondre Stevenson show. Like it really is. And I think it's part of it is the Patriots just wanting to kind of bring him in and not, rely on the experience of Stevenson. But when the Patriots score 33 points, you would hope that Henderson, who is being started in a chunk of leagues, is getting you more than 6 or 7 points.
Yeah, the leagues that I have him in, he was certainly in my lineup these first 2 weeks, and it hasn't been great. And yeah, the comment's spot on. There was early penalties. I heard that brought up somebody else talking about Travion, that it might have been a penalty. It might have been like a punishment type thing. But look at a guy like Mike Vrabel. That's about like as old school tough guy of a coach as you can get, man. You fuck up as a rookie. Now you're benched, and the incumbent vet is playing well. Big guy like Ramondre didn't fuck anything up, didn't turn the ball over. Like, why in God's name would next week look any different? Like, you're in the doghouse, kid. So certainly not a drop. Certainly not somebody I'm trying to sell in a panic. But shit, man, Ramondre is a nice pickup. I mean, some super shallow leagues, he might even be sitting out there because nobody really had any hopes for Ramondre doing anything. Even going into this week, nobody really gave a shit about Ramondre. If you started him, God bless you. I don't know how you would have the balls to do that, but he ended up having a great game.
Yep.
I thought for sure, like, Henderson has to be hurt. It was Stevenson.
Oh.
And then a little bit of Antonio Gibson, who
Gibson
must be on the Miles Sanders juice. Dude looked incredible on that punt return. I'm like, Antonio Gibson? No. Who's wearing that Antonio Gibson jersey? It definitely cannot be him. No Henderson anywhere. I'm like,
Gibson had more carries than Henderson, 5 for 27 yards. Even I was a Gibson truther last year, turned out to be really wrong. But yeah, Henderson's, they either saving him or he just got in the doghouse early on.
He's got that dog in him, but maybe the wrong kind of dog, something.
He could definitely still end up mattering. He could end up being a really big PPR role. But again, man, Nick, I don't know how you put him in your lineup, and barring it's not some start 15 players league, man. There's no way I'm putting him in his starting lineup until I see something again.
Yeah.
Until I see something, period.
Exactly. Then our last spotlight before we go into the scoreboard, talking about different parts of the game. Ending on a high note, Daniel Jones. What?
Man. A sentence I never thought I'd say. Daniel Jones looks tremendous. He finished his QB9 in 2022. Jones was looking really adequate with Malik Neighbors early last year. The Giants just flat out Giants that one up. Maybe if he had a little more time together, it could have been okay-ish. Daniel Jones is second in the NFL in expected points per dropback, right behind Justin Herbert. He looks like he looks like a 6th overall pick. Maybe the Giants weren't wrong for once. I don't know who screws up quarterback more, the Browns or the Giants, but I mean, the whole offense looks like it's clicking since I haven't seen since Andrew Luck, and maybe even before that. Jonathan Taylor looked electric out of the backfield. Michael Pittman's back feels all better. I thought Alec Pierce was a bust. I thought Alec Pierce sucked. I thought he was just like a deep ball gadget guy who was good for 2 catches a week. Everything is working. It probably won't last forever. It's been fun. I like to see Daniel Jones get some redemption. I don't know if he'll ever be fully recovered from that trip at the link over nothing, but good for you, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is almost like a weekly starter in 12-team leagues. I think I have him at 14 this week.
Yeah. In Superflex, unless you're in like an 8-team league or something, you almost have to be starting him. I lost a league because I didn't start him this week. Like I don't even remember who I started over him, but yeah. And I think with the Giants, I think the Colts have much better receiving weapons. The Giants just
You
gave
have
him
Malik
nothing.
Neighbors.
Yeah, but they were already out on Daniel Jones. They were just trying to wait to cut him at that point. Whereas
No
just
punts, no turnovers on a
punts is
Daniel
nuts.
Jones team.
Yeah. No, he's got some great weapons there, and I'm excited to see. I hope to think that this is going to continue for a while for him. And comment came through. Tyler Warren is looking amazing for him too. Like,
You think the Bears want that pick back? You sure about that?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
Yeah, color me wrong on Tyler Warren, man. I was kind of just listening to a lot of the scouting type guys that I follow that didn't like Warren. They like Loveland more, but that's looking ass backwards because the Colts are just showcasing him, man. He's looked wonderful through 2 games.
Yeah. I was trolling Colts boards. They're like, "Oh, we could get Tyler Warren at 14." There's no way in hell Tyler Warren will be available at 14. Oh, okay, sure. Things haven't gone that way for Indy in a while. It might be, clock might be striking midnight soon on the old Daniel Jones pumpkin, but I'm happy for him.
Right.
It's fun. It's better than cheering for Joe Flacco that really didn't feel good for a while.
Yeah.
Sometimes, a fresh start, a new job, a transfer, whatever the case, it can completely turn you around, man. You can do a full 180. Like, how happy is Daniel Jones right now? He's winning games. He's anywhere he goes in Indianapolis right now, he's getting high fives and asking for autographs and having every NFL show talking about how well he's playing. Like that's got to feel good, and feeling good helps you play good, man. So I'd love to see him keep it going. I'd love to see it for all the weapons around him. For Johnny Taylor's look fucking phenomenal. You guys know I love him. I got tons of JT shares, so I'm sitting in a bunch of first place spots with JT as one of my starting 2 running backs, man.
Nice.
You think the Vikings want him back?
Yeah, right. He just sat on their bench for a year, and now they're bringing in Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And real quick on Daniel Jones, I wanted to point this out. Nothing to do with football, but once it hit like fall and September, the wife and I, we almost watch exclusively scary movies until like Halloween passes. So we're watching the original Evil Dead movie 2 nights ago, or at least it was Saturday night, a couple nights ago. And the OG one from like 1985, 86, whenever it came out, the main character, his name's Ash. He looks exactly like Daniel Jones. It is freaking weird. And Daniel Jones' hair is like a little bit longer now. I mean, I just pulled up a pic on my phone, which I don't know if it's going to come through on camera, but like that is Ash from The Walking Dead, and that is fucking Daniel Jones. As far as I'm concerned. It just hit me. I was like, why does this guy look so familiar? And I was like, holy shit, this guy looks just like Daniel Jones.
Nice.
Super random ass reference. Sorry to derail there, but I had
you're good. No. You're good. Okay. Well, I think we can bring up our scoreboard, see the game, see who won, lost. Let's start with a game or two that we want to point out that we really enjoyed watching or were surprised about. Anything what stuck out to you this last week?
So the Bo Nix had a much better fantasy game. It was nice to see that because he was a total stinker in week 1. I mean that's something I think we should spend at least a little bit of time on, like guys that we were terrified about what happened week 1 that really turned it around. I think that goes for the entire Detroit Lions. Yeah. We don't have to sit here and talk about how great the Lions offense is. They went bananas. Goff had 5 touchdowns. Amon-Ra was the wide receiver 1 on the week. Bravo. Yeah. We know they are who we thought they were. But yeah, Nix definitely turned it around. Nix had a solid fantasy game. Drake May had a very good fantasy game.
Bryce Young, he started horrible, but had a good, really came around. I think with 3 touchdowns, he got you over 20 points.
Almost all garbage time with the Panthers. It was all comeback, but it all counts the same for fantasy. So yeah. Tet had his first 100-yard game, got you like 16 fantasy points, 6 for 100. That was nice. I'd like to say that the Houston Texans look fucking bad. Nico, thank God, I needed 14 points to win my league of record, and it took all the way till that last Nico catch that got him down to like the 2-yard line. I won by less than 1 point, thanks to that very last Nico catch on the Monday Night Football game. And I don't know why fucking fantasy football has to be so stressful like that. Why do I have to wait till the end of Monday Night Football every week to see if I won my fucking match or not? But they look bad. Their offensive line, we all knew their offensive line sucked, and it sucks. And
Yeah.
Stroud is harried and rushed, and he has these two rookies that really aren't doing much yet. Nico certainly had the great touchdown grab last night and had a solid fantasy game, but they need to do something. And I think when you have a shit offensive line, there's not much fix for that. Maybe this group gels a little bit better and gets a little bit more cohesive, but the Texans offense scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. No, I expected Stroud to have a bounce back year. I thought they would do much better, and it's not looking good so far. I mean, the Bucs aren't necessarily known to have the best pass rush or best pass defense, and Stroud did not look good. Yeah, that's a difficult one to swallow right now. We'll see how it turns out, but no,
the Bucs have, at least this current version, the last couple of years of the Bucs have always been known as like a run stopping defense.
Yeah.
You can pass on them. Well, Stroud didn't pass on them much. I mean,
Nope.
Nico saved you with getting in the end zone, but they don't look good, man. Until further notice. I mean, you're not benching Nico, but not great.
Yeah. There are a couple people I want to point out that had some duds that were very interesting, and talk about a few if we want. For me, for a couple rookies, Matthew Golden had a dud. I want to talk about that for a little. Derrick Henry, I know so many people were expecting so much from him, and 41 points from the Ravens, and he got you 5 points, which works for me. I won a league because Derrick Henry didn't go off. Like, who else was I looking at? Caleb Johnson. Anyone who has dynasty shares of him are like, can I take that back? Like, literally 2 hours before that, I traded a Dunze for Caleb Johnson in a first, and I was like, just covering my eyes every time Odunze did something, and then seeing the Caleb Johnson, the punt or kickoff that hit his shoulder that turned into a touchdown, and it's just like, yeah,
that's some Charlie Brown stuff there.
Yeah, exactly. Then Zach Charbonnet from last week was amazing. Then all of a sudden got you 2 points, but Walker got you 15 points. We talked a little bit about AJ Brown. Like, there are some players you're expecting so much out of that just crapped out hard this week. It was either you got 20 points or you got 5 points, and there's so little in between.
If you have Brian Thomas Jr. on a team and you lost this week, you need to get a refund from his ass like now. He had just the most pointless drops. I'm talking like Nelson Aguilar level drops. Like, what are you doing? 3 of them. And one was like at the 2, maybe closer.
Not good, man. Thomas got you a rushing touchdown week 1, and other than that, yikes.
Buyer's remorse.
He's a guy that I pointed out. I'm way lower on him than consensus. I was not buying his shit of being like a high second round startup dynasty pick or a second round redraft pick, and so far that's working out.
He has 5 receptions on 19 targets. Like, he has the volume, but did he and Quentin Johnson just like switch hands?
Yeah. I did not look at the tape. I haven't looked at much of the Jaguars at all, but I'd like to see if is Trevor Lawrence just airmailing him? Is he putting balls like way far away from him, or is it actual drops? I heard that he's alligator armed a few of them. Like, I've definitely heard that floating around the media that he may have not been putting in the full effort to make some of these catches. But shit, man, 5 of 19. That's fucked up.
He's hitting Dynami Brown perfectly fine. He's hitting ETN perfectly fine. I mean, this, like, catch that BTJ dropped at the 3 completely took his eyes off of it. It hit him right in the hands.
Yeah.
But before we switch off the Jaguars, I want to point out again the Travis Hunter 3 for 6 for 22 yards. Not that efficient, but getting that volume. I think that's going to be pretty consistent, and I want to point out that's kind of something I've been as opposed to the norm on with Hunter, but it seems like he's going to get those consistent passes, but he's going to be someone that might not get you that big top end that you might be expecting.
If there's something weird going on with Thomas and he's disgruntled, or there's some kind of weird off the field beef with him and the coaches or something like that, and he's getting like phased out or whatever the fuck's going on there, Hunter could be the big beneficiary of that as we move along. So that's definitely something worth monitoring.
Did you see the little spat with Lawrence and Cohen? That was pretty funny. Cohen's like, throw the ball, and Lawrence is like, shut the oops. That honeymoon's over.
I saw this stupid ass meme, and it's just, I don't know why it made me laugh so hard, but it was a picture of Trevor Lawrence on the sideline holding his little baby daughter, and it said, Trevor Lawrence holding his daughter pregame, and then a comment underneath said, pregame is a beautiful name.
I saw that.
Dude, I don't know, just the dad in me, I guess. I was just giggling like a moron after looking at that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I was trying to look up Brian Thomas real quick. PFF doesn't have drops yet listed. So the only other place I really look at stuff is Player Profiler, and they only have him listed as 2 drops, which I'm guessing it's only week 1. It has 5 receptions. So 2 drops doesn't make sense to me. That's either Trevor Lawrence is that bad getting him the target, or I don't necessarily always trust the Player Profile stats. So I'm going to wait till the PFF ones update for drops, which aren't quite there yet, or from what my login's working. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Brian Thomas Jr. if Lawrence is just that bad at getting him the ball, or what's happening.
There's a possibility too, and I don't know the exact logistics of how they look at an actual target, but balls that are like thrown away, like your quarterback's about to get sacked and his launches it down the sideline out of bounds. If Thomas is the guy closest to it, does that count as a target for Thomas? I'm not even sure how that works.
Yeah.
Catch rate over expected. Brian Thomas Jr. is number 1 at minus 34.2%. 6th place is Breece Hall at negative 22. It's Brian Thomas by miles and miles.
Okay. Not a first place that you want to be in, I guess.
No.
Buy low, right?
Maybe.
Who's selling him low at this point with how much you put into him?
Yeah.
Especially in Dynasty Leagues, you're holding him. You're not going to sell low until 3-4 games really happen, maybe, unless you're 0-2 and you're all in. But yeah, if you can, I'd buy low if you can, but I don't know if anyone's selling low now.
20% lower than 10th place Calvin Ridley. Fuck.
Yikes. Yeah, we saw it last year. Brian Thomas is a phenomenal football player. The dude can fly. He can get it done. He gets open. He got in the end zone a ton. He can be a volume guy. Mac Jones made him look great. So who knows?
Mac Jones looked great this weekend.
Well,
he did.
In that he's got the weapons to throw to. He's in the Shanahan system.
What sold is new again.
Yeah.
Looking at just something jumped out to me when I saw that orange Browns helmet at the top. Quinshon Judkins had been with the team for roughly 35 minutes, and they gave him a ton of work. They gave him not tons, but I mean, he had 10 carries for 61 yards, and he had 3 catches on 3 targets for 10 yards. So, instant offense there. Like I thought they might try to ease him in, but I mean, they just were pretty much immediately like, here you go, here's the ball. So I can't imagine that is not increased going forward. He was their plan to be their primary running back. They took him about as close to a first round pick as you can get. He was a super high second round pick. So 10 for 61 ain't bad for your debut when you haven't even been with the team for, a week. So that's pretty cool. If you had Judkins, you drafted Judkins, you had him in a dynasty league, you had an earlier redraft draft and took him with some draft capital. That's good to see.
Oh yeah. Or if you bought low on him, so many people were trying to just get him off your roster.
Yeah.
Like he has some great promise. Let's go left one game. There's a couple things about the Thursday night game I think are interesting to talk about. I mentioned this briefly earlier. I want to talk about Matthew Golden before diving into the Commanders a little. Matthew Golden worries me already. And it's 2 games, sure. But here's the problem. Is so many people, he's so fast, he's going to get open, he's a great route runner. And then, the wide receiver room for the Packers is really deep. Okay, then all of a sudden, Jaden Reed is the wide receiver run. All of a sudden, Dobbs is coming out of nowhere. And then it was like, Reed got injured. Let's see what he does week 3. No. Reed got injured the first drive of the game.
Yep.
Matthew Golden should have shown up. Even Dobbs showed up. Kraft showed up, like Wicks. No one expected Wicks to be outscored. Wicks has outscored Matthew Golden Thursday versus Matthew Golden's both games.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Golden had 2 targets. How can you be expected to be the wide receiver 1 for a team, your first round draft pick, and you get 2 targets and 2 rushing attempts? Like, I have to believe it's not the Packers aren't trying to get him the ball. He's just not getting open. Like, you're not going to not scheme plays for your first round draft pick. Even Love passed for 300 yards. Like, this is what I'm worried about Golden is he's not going to get the consistency. And he has 2 receptions for 16 yards on the season. Like, he worries me.
Well, if I told you he had 5 fantasy points in his career so far, would you get more excited?
What if I told
you? He's got 5 fantasy points through 2 games, so
yeah. He worries me. I just want to bring that up. But another dud from the game, Corey Krosky-Merritt. Great week 1, terrible week 2. Week 3 versus the Raiders with Eckler out. We starting him or not? Like, he doesn't have much rushing competition, but what are you doing versus the Raiders with Merritt?
Clock has struck midnight on that pumpkin. Nah, it's a cool story, but I bet Washington would kind of want Brian Robinson Jr. back right now.
Well, that's water under the bridge. So, I would say that certainly it was not promising what he did on Thursday Night Football, but I think the entire world is realizing that the Packers might have the best defense in the NFL at this point.
Yeah.
With Austin Eckler now done, probably retired, with a torn Achilles at age 30, they already shipped off B-Rob. I think the Commanders have firmly put themselves in the role, the scenario where Corey Krosky-Merritt is their guy. They have to make him their guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's going forward, he's going to be the key running back in their offense, whether they like it or not. And this fantasy football game we play is just so heavily based on volume that I think that I don't think the clock has struck midnight on him. I think maybe he might not look great with the work that he gets, but he's going to get a lot of work, and that's a serviceable, if not better than serviceable, offense. So he's certainly not going to be on waivers anywhere. If you have him, you're not dropping him. You're not going to sell him after the shit week that he had either. So I think he's one to ride out. And then with Golden, who you just touched on, I agree with you. I wasn't high on Golden to begin with. I thought the hype was a little bit too much, but at the end of the day, the Reed injury definitely just makes that passing or receiving group a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? channeled into just smaller funnels there. You know, there's only 3 or 4 guys now that are going to get passes instead of 5 or 6. So they probably didn't have a game plan to get Golden the ball last week because they figured Reed would be out there. But after a week of planning, now that they know that Reed's gone, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to scheme up some shit for Golden this week.
Yeah.
Obviously, like with all rookies of any position, we can always expect them to get a little bit more comfortable and a little bit better as we move along. So Golden's not somebody I want to like cut or move off of, but certainly a guy like all the rookie running backs we talked about earlier that bench until further notice. There's no way you don't have a better option on your bench to flex or put in a receiver slot than Matthew Golden for week 3. So let's see what happens.
I have an interesting question that came to mind of how low on A.J. Brown are you? A.J. Brown or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt this week?
Ooh, in a flex? Shit.
Yeah, in a flex. Who are you flexing right now? Are you trusting A.J. Brown still, or are you taking the volume that you're expecting Krosky-Merritt to get?
My Birds get the Rams in Philly this week. I think the Rams have a good enough offense that the Eagles probably have to do something other than run the ball 75 times. And I think the squeaky wheel thing, I think they might just force AJ a couple targets. But it's close. Who do the Manders got? Who are the Manders playing this week?
Raiders at Commanders, Rams at Eagles. Both home teams are 3.5-point favorites according to CBS right now.
And that's close as hell. The homer in me would just start AJ, but if you told me you're starting Merritt in a game that they're favored at home, I get it.
If Jaden Daniels misses, no.
If Jaden Daniels misses, clearly AJ. If Daniels is in there, it's fucking close. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, we had a question earlier about talking about A.J. Brown of person listed there, wide receivers, and that shows you just how low we're on A.J. Brown versus your other receivers. Is if you're considering a rookie running back who just had 1 point this last week as a 50-50 over A.J. Brown, we're pumping the brakes on him a little until maybe until Hurts has a passing touchdown.
All right. I'm drawing a line. If I do think that I'm starting AJ, regardless of the scenario there, because I am pretty confident that this current version of the Rams offense, with Stafford still healthy, we have a history fighting with them in the playoffs the last couple of years and in the regular season. I think it'll be a more exciting, higher scoring game, and the Eagles will have no chance but to throw the ball more than they have been throwing. Yeah. So AJ for me.
I might have taken that a little too far with that, but yeah, it's to say how far A.J. Brown of a questionable 50-50 flex depending on your team versus he's the wide receiver 1 on your team.
But look at it. I mean, the exact scenario is the Manders are at home. It's literally Krosky-Merritt along with Jeremy McNichols and potentially Chris Rodriguez, who, unless you're a complete degenerate like me, you've probably never even heard those names in your life.
Sounds like an XFL roster.
Krosky-Merritt is going to be like the alpha running back for them. And if they're in a game where they're ahead, which they probably will be, especially if Daniels is playing, it's not insane to say that Krosky-Merritt has a better game than A.J. Brown this week, which is just fucked up. But it's the truth.
What have we done to you, fantasy gods? Come on.
Yeah, right? Jesus.
What's going on?
Let's see, looking through James Cook. How good did he look this week?
Number 1 fantasy running back through 2 weeks, James Cook.
If you told me the Bills scored 30 and Josh Allen did not have a touchdown, I would call you crazy.
Allen broke his nose. He got kicked in the face, and I'm like, my heart sank. I'm like, oh my God, no. And it looked kind of bad. And Mitch Trubisky came in for a little bit, and then Allen came back with a cotton ball shoved up his nose. Like, it could have been a catastrophic loss, and it was probably within 15 minutes of the Burrow injury, and I'm like, no.
Cook's been a machine, man. Number 1 running back on the season so far after 2 weeks. So kind of same thing with the way the Eagles have been winning. If they're okay with just not throwing it as much and they can dominate on the ground and run the clock, why are they going to do anything differently next week? So James Cook looking like a fucking excellent pick for where you had to take him in redraft. Everybody's worried about the holdout. Everybody's worried about the negative touchdown regression, and so far he's balling.
James Cook gets Miami on Thursday. Enjoy those 4 touchdowns, James Cook owners.
Dolphins, yeah. Oof.
Oof.
That's a shot.
I was going to move over to this game, but we have a question to talk about real briefly. Defensive, Atlanta defense, Atlanta at Carolina next week, or Saints at Seahawks. And then I think you got to start Pitts over Andrews for sure right now. Andrews has 2 targets maybe. Pitts is I would never thought week 3 I'd say start Pitts over Andrews, but I think you kind of have to here. Whereas then Falcons at Panthers and Saints at Seahawks. I'd probably start Seahawks myself, them being at home. Panthers turned it up a little. What about you guys?
In a world where we're debating Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt over A.J. Brown, nothing's crazy, nothing's too outlandish, nothing's too. I guess you got to go Kyle Pitts, and the Saints have some fight in them. The Saints don't suck that bad. The Panthers kind of stink. I would definitely go Falcons for that one.
So the easy one there for me is Pitts over Andrews. Pitts is part of their game plan. He's caught multiple balls each week. He's on the field all the time. Andrews is an afterthought. Andrews has fucking 2 catches after 2 games. And again, Isaiah Likely's hurt. Andrews doesn't have competition out there, and they're just not throwing him the ball. So I don't know if he's cooked. I don't know if they're just ready to move on from him, but that's the easy answer is Pitts over Andrews. And then with the defenses, you're right. The Saints, the Spencer Rattler's chucking the ball. He's
okay.
At one point, he considered the next coming. He was supposed to be the generational prospect, and a bunch of weird shit happened, and he wasn't that. But that being said, they're going to Seattle. Seattle's defense has looked pretty good through 2 weeks. I would lean the Seahawks defense just because of the fact that the Saints have been home for their first 2 games to put up these stats.
Yeah.
Seattle's a pretty tough place to play, and I think their defense is decent. I would lean Seattle over the Falcons D, but I'll call that one a coin flip. I'd be happy to start either of those 2 defenses. So pick your poison.
And talking about Atlanta, how amazing was their run game? Penix did nothing, but 218 yards. It was like they just shoved it down the Vikings' throat just whenever they wanted. It was amazing.
Bijan's
amazing.
Good, man. he is so electric with the ball in his hands, man. You see during the game they showed a clip of Saquon talking about Bijan.
Yeah.
It's like he's him, man. He's like his cuts are like nobody else's. Barkley's like, my cuts are pretty good, but that guy did. So
I mean, Algier even had 16 carries. Bijan had 22. They did whatever they wanted.
Algier got you like 20 points if you were insane enough to start him, or like me, have him in multiple best ball leagues. I was like, holy shit, Algier's in my running back 1 or running back 2 slot in these best ball leagues. So yeah, man, if he's mostly rostered, but if for whatever reason Algier's sitting on waivers in one of your redraft leagues, get him. He's got standalone value, and if Bijan ever missed a game, I think you could put Algier penciled in as a top 12 running back.
Yeah. Okay, anything else you want to talk about from this last week before we talk about next week's matchups, things we're looking out for? There's another starter sit question. We can talk about those when we bring up the next week's scoreboard to keep an eye out on things.
I think we could flip the page over to
one more thing. Troy Franklin. Man, Troy Franklin, where the hell did he go? He looked incredible. I'm like,
We missed that.
He made the
okay.
waiver article this week for me. So yeah,
He-
definitely worth the grab. Great college numbers. Was Bo Nix's main target at Oregon together. You know, they've got the chemistry, obviously. So Cortland Sutton has done a vanishing act in the second week. So who knows? I don't expect Sutton to just keep disappearing, but Franklin is a guy worth looking at, worth adding.
I'm kicking myself so hard. If I was high on Troy Franklin last year, I was like, I gotta have him. I had him on 10 dynasty leagues, and then all of a sudden, I was like, I should trade him away. I should get what I can for him. And I'm like, just it's the odds of a wide receiver succeeding after the first year not doing so well. It's not great, but it happens sometimes. And I'm if Troy Franklin becomes consistent, I would be happy that my wide receiver model called it, but also kicking myself that I traded him in a few too many leagues because of that. So
on a team that had hardly any target competition with Bo Nix, he did nothing. He looked like crap. I guess it was like his redshirt year or whatever. He looked tremendous.
Yeah. There was one drive where it was just all Troy Franklin. Like, yeah, he did some great stuff.
Bo Nix looked awesome too. Easy comparison. He is Drew Brees. He is Drew Brees. He's an.
Okay. Next week's scoreboard. We have a great game Thursday to kick off the week. Division rivalry, Miami at Buffalo. Miami turned out this last week, so it might not be as big of a blowout as we might think. Whereas we're ending with an amazing game of Lions at Ravens with a lot of interesting matchups in between. Kind of who are you keeping an eye out on this week game-wise? What game are you trying to make sure you tune into if you can, or what might be closer than people might expect?
Are you guys starting Waddle or Tyreek in this Thursday night football game, given that you have to lock them into one of your wide receiver spots and not flex them?
I mean, you still could do the flex spot, but
never flex Thursday, bro.
Yeah. That's really hard. I mean, the Ravens tore up the Bills' defense passing wise, but then the Jets didn't. But it's also the Jets and Justin Fields. Tua did nothing, then everything. I'd probably still start them if I needed to. I'm not purposely benching them.
For reference, Waddle did get in the end zone, and Hill got you over 100. So they both had games in the teens.
The Patriots suck
after a shit week one.
Sorry, Zach.
It's true. I can't deny it. If I was to do redraft rankings, I'd probably have Tyreek Hill above A.J. Brown right now for this week.
Yeah.
Waddle probably is a 50-50 with him, though.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
They're guys that, as I'm going through my million lineups, mostly in dynasty leagues this week, that I'm certainly starting them in some leagues, but there's definitely some leagues where I had options I'd rather play, just in case they kind of pumpkin back into what they did week one. But we'll see. The Bills guys, you're obviously starting Josh Allen, you're starting James Cook. The Bills receivers, Shakir, Coleman, they both vanished after, Coleman especially had a great week one. He did like nothing week two. Shakir had a nothing game instead of his usual 11 points that he gives you. So they're sketchy starts at best. Kincaid, I'm fucking done with Kincaid. He's the same thing every fucking week. He's 50% of snaps. He's just They try to force him the ball on the first drive of the game, and they'll get him 3 or 4 catches, and then you don't even know he's on the field for the rest of the game. So I can't imagine starting Kincaid this week. There's guys in the wire that I'd start over Kincaid for sure.
I'm stuck between Kincaid and Andrews this week in one league, and there's no one on the wire.
Well, I'd play Kincaid over Andrews.
That's what I'm doing.
This game is going to be the biggest blowout in recent memory. Mike McDaniels is fired at halftime, and it's just sloppy. It's a pick six. It's a fumble recovery. It's a Geez, I don't know. Name it. It's like a Ray Davis rushing touchdown. Josh Allen's out in the third, and you're like, it's the Bills win 55-10, and you're looking for all this fantasy goodness, and it's just weird slop. That's what I'm afraid of. Wow, it's 2 Dawson Knox 4-yard touchdown. Like, what the hell?
See it.
Get out of here.
See it. Yeah, probably not exciting.
No.
So Jags Texans. I told you, I'm fucking terrified of the Texans. If you're clearly starting Nico, but I can't imagine starting another Texan. I mean, you're going to start Stroud probably in Superflex and 2 quarterback leagues, but I don't want to start Chubb. I don't want to start Woody Marks. I don't want to start one of those rookies. I don't want to start Schultz.
You don't want that Chubb Woody backfield.
Yeah, the Woody Chubb backfield. Oh man, I didn't even think of that. That's funny.
We have a start sit question. I wanted to show the scoreboard up first. Are you starting Judkins versus the Packers, Hampton versus the Broncos, or Corey Krosky Merritt versus the Raiders?
Merritt.
I think it's Merritt.
I think so too. I think you got to start Merritt there with the matchups. Green Bay and Broncos defense.
They're 2 of the best defenses in football, and Hampton hasn't been able to do anything against lesser defenses. So, Merritt at home in a game that I'm sure they're favored to win. So, man, and with the Jags, I mean, it's tough to not put Brian Thomas in your starting lineup if you use your second-round draft pick. But if you happen to have better options on your bench, it's not the craziest thing in the world. I think Hunter, same thing. You drafted him fairly high, but you probably have a better option. Travis Etienne, I think, has shown you that he's locked into at least your flex, if not your RB2 so far after 2 weeks. Baishal Tootin, my priority ad of the week on the waiver wire article.
Yeah.
Himself in the end zone, looked very good. We all knew he was fast. He clearly has he's absolutely locked into a role there. So, if you're in a pinch or something, I could see starting Tootin if need be, but probably better options. Trevor Lawrence.
Like a 4th round.
Yeah, single quarterback, you're not starting Trevor Lawrence probably.
Yeah. The game I'm looking out for, and I'm trying not to be a Bears hometown. I'm looking at all these, and I'm like, if Caleb Williams does not look good against the Cowboys defense after he made Russell Wilson look like the Russ of 10 years ago, that is going to be the nail in the coffin for me for Caleb Williams. Like, if Russell had 450 passing yards versus, granted, overtime included, but still, even 350. If Caleb Williams does not look good against the Cowboys at home, that is going to be, it should be a high scoring game, but this is kind of a make or break game for Caleb Williams and for the Bears, in my opinion, because of how they have started. That's one game I have to watch, but I'd want to tune in on just to see how the Bears offense looks versus a lower end defense.
Here's my I'm telling the future now. I've looked into the crystal ball. This is going to be a crazy high scoring game, just like the Giants Cowboys was. Passing touchdowns everywhere, 50 pass attempts for everybody, and my beloved DJ Moore will have 4 catches for 55 yards. I don't know how, but that's how it's going to end up, because lock him in for 9 points, buddy. DJ Moore. Fucking shame. He's so much better than that, but that just seems to be the game plan they have for him.
Vegas thinks it's a high-scoring game. It's over under 50 points.
Wow.
Well, hopefully it is, and we get just fantasy goodness from everybody. That would be wonderful.
I'd be perfectly fine with a second helping of a shootout like that. That's what I was going to say, Zach. That game, if the Bears don't show up, full-blown panic on Caleb Williams. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. How close do you think the Lions-Ravens are going to be Monday night?
I hope that's a Super Bowl. That would be the best Super Bowl ever and
That would be great.
it's going to be. I mean, we thought Bills Ravens was game of the year. This could be even better.
It could be. I feel like we don't know what the Ravens' defense is because they look good week 2, but in week 1 the Bills just lit them on fire. So who knows? The Lions also, we know their offense is good, but when they went up against the Packers, who are a good defense, they looked like dog shit in week 1. So
yeah.
Their passing defense was not good at all last year. I don't know if that's improved much.
This game's in Detroit.
No,
Yes.
no. Lions at Ravens, and Ravens are 5.5-point favorites. That's which seems a lot to start, but it could get closer.
Tempered expectations with road golf / outdoor golf, no doubt. But hopefully we just get. I have no dog in this fight, so all I want is fantasy points. So hopefully we get a high-scoring game and neither defense shows up. I would pick the Ravens though. I think they're going to be. I think Derrick Henry. We're going to have a Derrick Henry game. He's not happy about having 19 yards and 2 fantasy points. They're going to get early and often Derrick Henry up the gut.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's a Monday, not a Thursday.
Yes. The night football games are great because even if I have to work, I can get home and watch the majority of them.
Broncos Chargers will be a great game too.
Divisional, 2 good teams, 2 good defenses. Yeah, that might not be great for fantasy with how good these defenses are. We might not be that thrilled about anybody. I could see a bunch of DJ Moore type 5 for 55 stat lines from like Ladd and Keenan and Sutton. But it should be a exciting game, definitely.
Yeah. How or which Russell Wilson shows up versus the Chiefs Sunday night?
I think this might be a bloodbath. I think the Chiefs might just take out their 0-2 frustrations on this Giants team. And even if that happens, though, we could easily have a fourth quarter of just prevent defense and Russ just airing it the fuck out and ending up with a decent fantasy game and Neighbors and even Wandale having another okay fantasy week. But I think this will be an ass kicking. I don't think the Chiefs are going to go. I don't think they're going 0-3, and certainly not to the Giants.
Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites at the Giants.
Of course, as they should be.
No. Brian Dable is going to flip over to the back of his playbook. Did you see how he was rotating Dart and Russell Wilson almost like a hockey line change? They were alternating snaps for almost the entire third and fourth quarter in that Giants-Cowboys. It was the weirdest thing. We're like, are you trying to like screw up some momentum, screw up the flow? What do you? I saw a Dart initially, like, oh, Russell was hurt, and no, he just kept rotating them in without really any rhyme or reason. And then, for all you know, hey, Jameis Winston shows up. Like, I have no idea why he rotated the quarterbacks like that.
Well, and Dart didn't even make a pass attempt.
It was just handoffs and
Yeah.
rushes and Giants being the Giants and
I'm interested to see what happens with the two Seahawks running backs this week because just how flipped was that? It was just so fucking odd. It was like week 1 they couldn't do a damn thing for Walker, and Charbonnet got in the end zone and had a infinitely better per touch average, and then this week was it legitimately like 15 carries for 10 yards or something for Sharps, or 10 for 15? Neither is great. And Walker has 100 plus and got in the end zone. So it's just it sucks for fantasy. It really does. Like what do you do there? I mean,
because now you're chasing points and you zig and they zag and you start the wrong guy and you're kicking yourself.
If you roster Walker, you drafted him to be one of your starters, so you're hoping that it's him again. But you can't really start him with much confidence because let's face it, if week 1 happened again and it was Charbonnet got 60 yards and a touchdown and Walker had nothing, no one in the world would be any bit surprised. We'd be like, "Oh shit, it happened again." So it's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing there? I'd be looking for other potential options. I'd rather not deal with the headache or pick the wrong one.
Just set it and forget it.
Yeah. No, Sharp had 15 attempts for 10 yards. Walker had 13 for 105. Sharp had 1 point. But here's the thing. Charbonnet played more snaps than Walker in both games.
Yeah.
So what's happening? Like
No.
Walker looked better week 2. He had a lot more rushing yards than Sharp even had week 1, but Sharp did nothing. Like Walker had less than a 40% snap share in both weeks. So, but he still balled out. Are they going to go back to Walker? Like, are they going to start going back to Walker, or what's Are they holding him because they don't want him to get injured? It's so tough to know what's going on in that backfield.
It's rough. It is rough for our little game of fantasy football that we play for sure. Yeah, I'm looking at that Bengals Vikings game. Jordan Mason's absolute start, top 20, top 18 maybe running back with no Aaron Jones. He didn't do much of anything in week 2 here, but when he would all the touches he got in week 1, he looked very good. He looked fast, strong, breaking tackles. So with him being the primary guy there, they brought back the corpse of Cam Akers I saw just to fill out the just to help the running back room. But Jordan Mason's definitely a start, RB2, easily a flex for me for these 4 weeks at least while Aaron Jones is out.
Week 1 and 2, the only 2 running backs to take a carry were Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. So it's Mason's backfield.
Yep. So that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Nothing really else jumping out to me. With the Cardinals, Connor looked pretty old, and Benson did look a little more spry. So I think we were talking about that on our last week. Would you flex Benson, or would you potentially play Benson? Looking like that might be much more of a very even, like 50-50 split. And if Connor continues to look a little slow, why wouldn't the Cardinals just start feeding Benson more and seeing what he can do? They've got him tied into the rookie contract for like 3 more seasons. So
yeah,
that's definitely something to keep an eye on. I mean, I don't really see much of a scenario where I would bench Connor in a normal redraft league.
Not yet.
We'll see. It's definitely just something to monitor for sure. Benson could end up being, a surprise hero of the season.
Benson only had 3 carries, but he was more active than Marvin Harrison in the passing game.
Yep.
He had more targets, more catches, more yards than Marvin Harrison. Like Benson's one to keep an eye out on.
I'm trying to think if anything else.
That's all that's sticking out to me, really.
Yeah.
Ibuka Tor continues. Be ready to spend like a 3rd round pick on him next year. He looks awesome.
Not earlier.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe earlier if he's catching a touchdown every week. Yeah, man, nothing really else really jumping out. 49ers, let's see how Mac Jones does again. I think he'll be fine. I think that, remember the whole thing that they wanted him to begin with? They never wanted Trey Lance. They wanted to draft Mac Jones. So
yeah,
Kyle Shanahan finally got his guy. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. Should be a more, in my opinion, more level week for fantasy football. You had a lot of divisional games this last week, a lot of tough matchups. It's kind of getting into the thick of the season, away from those more hype games that I'm expecting things to level out a little more, and we're starting to really see what teams are going to be starting week 3 and 4.
All right, man. Well, hour 40, not bad considering we talked about all the games and all the, a lot of the games upcoming. And Remember, I said I'm going to die on the hill here. AJ Brown this week over Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Let's see how that pans out when we talk about this next week. Hopefully, I was right, but
Yeah, sounds great. We'll start talking about kind of players to alarm the bells on a little next week, diving into that week 4 as well. Players that what you really should be doing to win your dynasty and redraft leagues, what moves you should be making. Kind of week 3, 4 is when you can really start telling more. First couple weeks, you don't want to make any major moves. So we'll start to be hitting that instead of just recapping stuff, spotlighting more players, keeping you up with fantasy news.
absolutely, man. Yeah, 3 weeks is definitely, if we got somebody like, say, Brian Thomas lays another egg, AJ Brown lays another egg. That's
Yeah. We'll see. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, boys. From the Fantasy Holics, have a good week 3. Make sure you get your waiver claims in. Check out my article. We've got the top targets there for you to pick up.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Happy week 3.